Hockey Night here. Hopefully you've all been enjoying the trade deadline season, and it's winding down really with a little over 2 months to go. Well, at least a month and a half as far as the NHL season is concerned. And we've just passed our trade deadline in the NHL, and I've been following and watching it through the day. Now, usually I keep up with things on live and stream live, get my live reaction, and sometimes they're wow like that, but on other years it's been kind of slow as far as the hockey trades have gotten concerned. And this year I was right to guess that this was going to be not necessarily a bad year for trades, but the no movement clauses, the concern for the new expansion franchise, and it just really confused a lot of the GMs, in my opinion, and kind of locked them in as to where they wanted to put their prospects and either be buyers or sellers at the trade deadline. So I guess let's take a look at some of them. Montreal Canadiens acquiring Jordy Ben a couple days ago. I think that was a pretty good deal. Alex Burrows going to going to Ottawa from Vancouver, and Kevin Shattenkirk and Phoenix Copley. I didn't. Okay, as I'm looking here on the internet, getting all the different people moved around. So I think that's probably going to be the highlight, the banner of this trade deadline. It wasn't exactly made on the deadline day, but a day or two before the deadline, the biggest splash of the year was made by the Washington Capitals acquiring Kevin Shattenkirk. He was a very sought-after forward that really thought, he was going to be a free agent and stuff like that, and he was the contract situation, whether or not he was going to stay, and they didn't want to lose him for nothing. And I think the Capitals, well, this was kind of shade. We'll see whether it works out, because I saw a lot of reaction from Capitals fans. They thought that the Capitals had pretty much won the Stanley Cup. This is going to be it. This is the acquisition. They were hoping to get them up over the top and past all their rivals in the Eastern Conference and onto the Stanley Cup. So, but I want to take a different view, and I'm going to slow down a little bit more on this idea that the Washington Capitals acquire TJ Oshie from the St. Louis Blues, and look how that turned out. So just because he's a big name from St. Louis doesn't mean your team's going to be awesome for the rest of the year. So I want to say, slow down, Capitals fans. You really shouldn't jump to conclusions after that. Victor Stahlberg. I think overall, Ottawa won the trade deadline day, as in acquiring the most amount of players. I think they're going to make a push to either go for now, see how far they can get, and then build for the future later. So they picked up Victor Stahlberg and the Calgary's players. Go up here a bit there. Yoki Paka from Calgary, dumping out Curtis Laser and Koska to Calgary, and then Drew Stafford is now a Boston Bruin. The Boston Bruins have made an acquisition to see if they can shore up their defense, and they had one minor league deal at the very, very end where Mike Sislo of the Antonio Rampage was moved to the Marlies for Colin Smith. Let's see where else we got in the big deals. The P.A. Parento was traded to the Nashville Predators from the New Jersey Devils for a 6th-round pick. I think it's a little bit undervalued on Parento. I don't know how, because this is already his 3rd team in the same year. He was originally on the Islanders, picked up by the Devils, and then now traded at the deadline. So perhaps his best days are behind him, as he was once a valued member of the Toronto Maple Leafs and other Montreal Canadiens teams in the past. But the Columbus Blue Jackets made some minor moves, some little tweaks here and there, picking up the one Dallas player I saw. In here somewhere. So I guess they didn't make too big of a splash, and also I guess the biggest name per se, if you're just a casual viewer, you're just a casual fan to the NHL, and I say the marquee name moved at the trade deadline was Jerome McGinley yet again. He goes to the Los Angeles Kings from the Colorado Avalanche for a conditional 4th rounder. I presume if whatever he does at the end of the season will be that conditional pick. So Steve Ott, former Maple Leaf enforcer and Detroit Red Wing, goes from Detroit to Montreal, of all places. Everybody was saying that Montreal needed that size and defensive mobility and stuff like that. They needed a lot of strength at their back 2 lines, so they traded away David Ducharnay to Edmonton. As I said, Victor Stahlberg goes to Ottawa. Alexander Burrows goes to Ottawa. And Brian Boyle from the Tampa Bay Lightning was picked up in a deal by Toronto, sending Byron Fries and a 2nd-round pick. So that was another thing too, is that a lot of my friends up in Toronto were suggesting that the Toronto should stay pat. They should just if they have to make a tweak or two, maybe just keep an eye on the future. Don't start selling off some assets just yet. Like that, if they make the playoffs, that's good for them. It's all their experience, but be careful that you don't tinker too much with the future. And Martin Hansel and Ryan White go to Minnesota. I guess they're all in. And Arizona picked up a bunch of the Minnesota's 1st rounder this year, the 2nd rounder next year, and a 4th round pick conditional in 2019. So, and then Ben Bishop was traded from the Tampa Bay Lightning to the Los Angeles Kings. And I guess I was also kind of concerned as to what my hometown Pittsburgh Penguins were going to do. The Penguins made some minor tweaks here or there and picked up some defensemen. Ron Hainsey from the Carolina Hurricanes was brought over before the nice outdoor classic they had or the Stadium Series. That's what I guess officially called, the Stadium Series against Philadelphia, and so I guess they chose not to wait until the trade deadline day, and then all of a sudden, at the very last few minutes of the trade deadline, they picked up Mark Street from the Philadelphia Flyers by way of Tampa Bay. I guess the Flyers had decided they weren't going to trade with anybody, within the division. That's still taboo to these days. A lot of people still talk about, oh, well, you don't want to trade to someone within your division, especially a division rival like Pittsburgh and Philly both are. So they had originally sent Mark Street to Tampa Bay for Phil Pula, a 4th-round pick, and a 7th-rounder. And then Tampa Bay flipped Mark Street over to Pittsburgh for another 4th-round pick in 2018. So Mark Street is a very good puck-moving defenseman like that. Got to clear the zone a lot better, and they're really, really committed to this team zone rush offense. So I guess they didn't want any big bodies. I guess it's they're on the pickup from Toronto, Frankie Corrado, which was basically a bench warmer per se. He didn't dress for most games like that. He was quite frustrated he couldn't crack the lineup in Toronto, so the Penguins sent Eric Fehr, Steve Oleski, and a 4th-round pick for this guy. I think they really overpaid for him. I liked Eric Fehr as a 3rd-line center. Oleski was, again, he was supposed to be somewhat part of the future. Like he was in, we've sent off another developing D-man to another team, and just for a guy that has only played a handful of games in the last 2 years. So I don't know what he's thinking, what he's doing, but for a depth guy like that, that's way too much. Way too much. Did I miss anything else? I'm trying to this isn't exactly all the trades here. I was just talking about mostly the high profile names and stuff like that, and the more average names and stuff like that. So Thomas Vanek, who was traded at the early Tuesday, very, very, very early Wednesday morning or Tuesday nights, wherever your time zone is. He went to the Florida Panthers, hoping for, I guess, a new start in Florida. So I believe that would be the last. Yannick Hansen goes to the Sharks from Vancouver, I think, and Johnny Oduya goes back to Chicago. So I guess those are all the big names moved today. There weren't too many other big names. I think there are something I consider where Marc-Andre Fleury wasn't moved. I suppose he'll be, I guess, with the team throughout the rest of the year. They'll find out what to do with him at the end of the season. Maybe we can move him along to put him somewhere else so he can't be picked up by the expansion draft and lose him for nothing, or so there's a lot of things to consider there. So I guess he's pretty much safe for now. Thomas Yurko, one of the Slovaks off the Detroit Red Wings, also goes to the Chicago Blackhawks there. So, alrighty, that's pretty much it. I wanted to, I guess, give a little bit more of a rundown here and a little about my analysis of my hometown team's trades and some thoughts that I think keeping Fleury is the right move to do as far as through the season. The trading possibilities will open up more once the season is over. There'll be more trading partners willing to make deals, and I think that there was probably nothing worth out there. And according to some insiders, there wasn't too many. There wasn't very much interest in Marc-Andre Fleury at this time. So, we'll keep him for the rest of the season. That's it. That's all I have for you now. Like that, I guess Shattenkirk is going to bring Washington Capitals the Stanley Cup. That's all I've been reading for the past 2 days, and how much on a roll. And finally, they're going to get their collective together. Okay, so that's pretty much it here with the NHL Trade Deadline. Now, please subscribe and leave a comment or two below what you think your team did on Trade Deadline Day. Were they movers? Were they sellers? Did they sell off enough pieces or acquire enough to get over a certain level and into the next level of competition? Is this your team's playoff push? Did you give up too much? So let me know your thoughts below, and of course please subscribe and keep an eye out for my twitch.tv Game of the Week. I'll be uploading yet another one here soon, playing one soon, so thank you very much for watching. This has been the Confessions of a Hockey Fanatic look at Trade Deadline.